Things. All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, good afternoon. Looks like we're just waiting on Mr. Upshaw. All right, Mark, we might have to give Mr. Upshaw a call.
Yeah, this is our Jeff Baker program. We've already, in fact, everybody's here. Yeah, he.
Mr. Drew, make sure your phone is on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Upshaw Smart called from Judge Baker's court. Judge just asked me to call you today. We're ready. Okay, great. Says he's zooming in now. Yeah, the thing on the news, I don't know where this was, but it was a city.
Mr. Upshaw. Good of you to join us. I think you're frozen, Mr. Upshaw.
I apologize, that 1:30 was a little long.
That's
Again,
okay.
my greatest apologies, Your Honor.
No problem. I know you're a busy man. All righty. Is everybody ready?
Yes, Judge, the people are.
All right, defense, you ready?
Yes,
I've informed your client to keep his phone on mute. So that's okay. All right, go ahead.
yes.
We've got to have a swearing in of the witness. So
Yes, Judge, thank you. The people would call Officer Richard Danescu to the virtual stand.
hold on one second.
Officer
Yeah,
Danescu.
we didn't hold on. We didn't call the case. Hold
Oh,
on a second. Sorry about that.
Okay, this is calling case number 24154, People of the State of Michigan versus Michael Drew. And this is a final conference / motion hearing.
good afternoon, Your Honor. Andrea McCrae, appearing on behalf of the people, P number 83698.
And Randall Upshaw on behalf of Mr. Drew, P number 43574.
Okay, and Mr. Drew, state your name for the record.
Michael Drew.
All right, you can mute yourself now, Mr. Drew. All right, the people can call their first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people at this time would call Officer Richard Danescu to the stand.
All right, Mr. Danescu, we're gonna swear you in.
Okay, sir, could you raise your right hand, please? You promise the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And Mr. Danescu, you aren't driving, are you?
No, Your Honor, I'm in a work van. We just had to conduct a search warrant. We are all done. I am not driving, no, and the vehicle's not in motion at the moment.
Okay, and then also we're getting quite a bit of background noise back there.
I can try to step out if that would help, Your Honor.
It would. Okay. You may proceed, Ms. McCrae.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, can you go ahead and state your name for the record and spell it for the court reporter?
It's Richard
Oh, wait a
Danescu.
minute. Hold on. Looks like we've lost defense counsel. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Are you back, Mr. Upshaw? For some reason, we lost your camera. Mr. Upshaw, can you hear the court? I hate Zoom. Mr. Upshaw, you're frozen. We can't hear you at all. I think we had the same nightmare earlier today.
Let me take a 2-second walk out there, make sure no one is messing with the Wi-Fi. Hey, tell whoever messed with the Wi-Fi.
Can you hear the court, Mr. Upshaw?
No, we switched over to a different security code on the Wi-Fi. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. McCrae.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Officer, can you please state your name for the record and spell it for the court reporter?
It's Richard Danescu. Richard, and last name Danescu. Danescu.
And Mr. Danescu, how are you employed?
With the City of Detroit Police Department.
Okay, and how long have you worked with the City of Detroit Police Department?
About 7 years.
Okay, And prior to those 7 years, did you have previous law enforcement experience?
No.
Okay. And what do you do currently? Like, what is your role at the City of Detroit Police Department currently?
Currently, I'm assigned to the Major Violators Task Force.
Okay. And what do you do there?
We handle narcotics complaints. We also are in charge of a few details and any other major crime that we can assist with.
Okay. So I want to talk to you a little bit about maybe the training you've had in providing Miranda rights. So in your 7 years in law enforcement with the City of Detroit Police Department, have you ever had the opportunity to interview a suspect?
Yes.
Okay. And are you familiar with the term giving a defendant Miranda rights?
Yes.
Okay. And how are you familiar with that?
We've had a couple of attorneys come to like precincts or our bases and give classes that way. I've also learned from senior officers as well.
Okay. And have you given Miranda rights to suspects before?
Yes.
Okay. And do you typically advise a suspect of his or her rights? How do you do that? How do you advise them of their rights?
So we have what we call an interrogation packet. It's our packet. We fill out some paperwork. It does have the Miranda rights written right on it. We will read it to them, and then we do give them the opportunity to read the rights as well. We also have where we have them identify after they've read the rights. We usually have them initial next to each right that's read.
Okay. So is it fair to say there's a specific protocol when you mentioned that interrogation packet that you follow?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I want to bring your attention now to the case at hand. Were you working as an officer with the Detroit Police Department on July 4th, 2020?
Yes.
All right. What were you doing that day?
We were executing a search warrant.
Okay. And who were you executing a search warrant, or what were you executing a search warrant of?
It was 19250 Klinger in the city of Detroit.
Okay. And what is that address?
19250 Klinger.
Right. No, what is located at that address?
It was like a residential home. We had a search warrant signed by the judge to execute a search warrant at that location.
Okay. So prior to executing the search warrant at that location, did you come into contact with a person by the name of Michael Drew?
Our crew actually conducted a traffic stop. Mr. Drew was the target seller in the search warrant.
Objection. First of all, I just need a foundation that he was present.
This
He
officer
was
was
present where?
That
At
he's-
the,
Arrest, that he's testifying from personal knowledge.
Miss, go ahead.
Mr. Officer Danescu, are you testifying, or were you present? You just talked about a traffic stop because the defendant was the target of a search. Were you present at that traffic stop?
Yes, I was at that traffic stop.
Okay. And about what time was that traffic stop at?
I don't recall the actual time for the traffic stop. It was not me personally that conducted the actual traffic stop. The entire raid van, which I was part of, made that traffic stop along with the rest of our crew that was executing that search warrant.
Okay.
But I was not the scout car that took down and did the traffic stop.
Okay. Now, did you prepare a report in connection with your duties on this case?
Yes.
Okay. Would that refresh your recollection or memory as to the time of the traffic stop?
I would have to see the report to see if I put the times in or not.
All righty. Let me see if I've got it. And you don't have that in front of you, right?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll circle back around to that. Okay. So you recall if it was maybe not the specific time, but do you recall if it was morning or night?
It was daytime.
Okay. It was daytime. Now, you said that you were part of the raid van, right, that conducted the traffic stop?
I was part of the raid van that made the traffic stop. Yes, we made the location. We did not conduct the traffic stop in the raid van.
Okay, so is it fair to say that you were present and were observing?
Correct.
Okay. Did you ever ask any questions of the defendant at that time?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. Do you remember saying anything to him at that time?
I don't remember saying anything to Mr. Drew at the traffic stop.
Yeah, and to be clear, I'm talking about the traffic stop at 7 Mile near Greeley. So just to be clear, you didn't say anything to him?
Not that I recall, no.
And when I say him, I mean the defendant.
No, I don't recall saying anything to Mr. Drew at the traffic stop scene.
Okay, but you did say that you observed the traffic stop, right?
I didn't observe the initial pulling over, but I did observe once they had pulled the vehicle over, we did make that location, yes.
Okay. When the vehicle was pulled over, was the defendant forcibly thrown from his car at any point?
Not that I observed.
Okay. Was he ever hit?
I did not observe anybody strike Mr. Drew.
Okay. Was he ever threatened?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So I want to, but was the defendant put in handcuffs at that time?
I believe the defendant was in handcuffs. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. So what happened after the 7 Mile near Greeley traffic stop when the defendant was possibly put in handcuffs? What happened after that?
From my knowledge, I was given information from my
Objection.
supervisor.
If he has no knowledge, Your Honor, he cannot testify.
Mr. Upshaw, this is an evidentiary hearing, of which I
Yes,
know
ma'am.
you're aware that the rules of evidence do not apply.
I apologize. Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Officer Danasco.
Yes, Your Honor. I was informed by my supervisor that he was given a key to the front door of the Klinger location by Mr. Drew. So we did not have to use forced entry if nobody answered that door. We then conducted our search warrant at the Klinger location.
Okay. And did you immediately go to the location after the traffic stop?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you recall what time you arrived at the location?
I do not know.
Okay. Can you give an estimate? Was it 15, 20 minutes?
It wasn't very long, no. It wasn't a very far drive from the traffic stop to the location.
Would it be fair to say is it less than half an hour?
From the end of the traffic stop when we proceeded to the house, it was way less than a half hour, yes.
Okay. And so you arrive at the target location, 19250 Klinger, right?
Correct.
And where was the defendant at this point in time?
He was placed in the scout car and brought to that location.
Okay. And when he was brought to the location, did he remain inside the scout car?
No, eventually he was taken out of the scout car.
Okay. And where was he taken once he was taken out of the scout car?
To the front porch and then eventually inside of the Klinger location.
Okay. Was he still in handcuffs at this point?
I believe for part of that, yes.
Okay. Did the handcuffs eventually come off?
I believe I actually, if it was me or someone else, the handcuffs were off for the interrogation part that I conducted.
Okay. Now, so you said that the defendant was brought to the house, and he was taken to his own home, right?
Correct.
Okay, and he was taken to the porch and then possibly inside, right?
Objection. Judge, I understand this is an evidentiary hearing, but it's only so much leading she should be able to do.
He already testified to that.
You're leading totally.
Right, but he already, I'm not gonna go back and forth with you.
If we're just restating what the officer has already testified to, fine. Other than that, don't lead the witness. Go ahead.
Okay. Was the defendant, when he was brought inside, did he ever indicate he needed food or water?
No, not that I recall.
Okay. Did he ever complain about needing medical attention?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Did he appear to be injured in any way?
No.
Did he complain about anything at all?
Not that I remember, no.
Okay. I want to move now to the statement that you took of Mr. Drew. So when you got to the house, was the did you and the raid team perform a search of the house?
Correct.
Okay. About how long did that search last?
Typical raid time, usually about 10 minutes. I mean, the initial clearing's about, 10 minutes or less. And then the search part can take, upwards to an hour or so. I'm not sure how long this one particularly took.
Okay. Would you agree, would it be fair to characterize it as being less than 2 hours?
Right around there, probably.
Okay.
Well, let me ask a question, officer. When you say clearing of the house, is that when you just go through and see if anybody else is in there?
So, Your Honor, when we clear the house, that's the initial clear. We are strictly looking just for individuals. All individuals are, detained at that time, and we bring them to a central location. Whether if it's cold outside, we'll leave them inside, like a living room or something that's cleared, or we'll bring them outside onto the front porch.
And were there other people in that house?
There was, Your Honor.
How many?
Off the top of my head, there was at least 3.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, officer. So there come a point in time after you performed the search of this location where you interviewed Michael Drew.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Sure. After you performed the search of the target location, did there come a point in time when you interviewed Michael Drew?
Yes.
Okay. And where did that interview take place?
It was in a back bedroom of the location. It was an orange painted room.
Okay. But to be clear, it was inside the defendant's home?
Correct. And I believe on the statement, he did state that was his room and it was painted orange.
Okay. Do you know if the door was open or not?
When I conducted the interrogation?
Yes, sir.
I don't remember if the door was open or closed.
Okay. Okay. Judge, I'm gonna share my screen now to try and to show an exhibit. Okay. Officer Danescu, I'm showing you a 2-page document that is marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 1. Can you take a look at your screen? It should be sharing with you, and let me know if you recognize this document. Let me know when you want me to scroll down.
So this is the front page of our interrogation sheet. And
hold on, just 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute. I just want to make sure that it's 2 pages, okay? So do you recognize these 2 pages?
Yes.
Okay, how do you recognize them?
We use them for our interrogation. This is part of the interrogation packet.
Okay, what is this 2-page document specifically?
So this is the front page. This is where I would write down the defendant's name and information, as you can see on the top, the Michael Drew. That's his advisory rights. That's what I would have read to him. And then I would hand him over that paper, and he made initials after he was able to understand when I said, can you read these and initial once you understand them?
Okay, so is this a fair and accurate copy of the Miranda rights form that you used to interview Mr. Drew on July 4th, 2020?
Yes.
Okay, so at this time, the people would move to the admission of People's Exhibit 1 as People's 1.
No objection.
Okay.
It will be a minute.
Thank you, Judge. And I would say permission to publish, but I guess with Zoom, everything depends.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Now you did this a little bit a minute ago, Officer Danescu, but can you please describe or demonstrate to the court how you used this form with Mr. Drew on July 4th, 2020?
Yeah, so we would, I would ask him for his name and information on the top. Then I would read the rights. The rights on this form is read as if you are reading it. If I was the defendant, because it says I, so I have to change it to you have the rights. Any statements you make, and then I hand it over to this instance would be Mr. Drew, for him to look over and initial once he understands his rights.
Okay, so let me ask you, does this form indicate how old Mr. Drew is?
It says his date of birth on there, yes.
Okay. Now, you said you read him his constitutional rights, the ones that are listed here. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You read those out loud?
Correct.
Okay. And when you read him those rights, did you threaten him in any way?
No,
Did you hit him in any way?
no,
Did you touch him in any way?
no,
Did you promise leniency in any way?
no,
Did you have any kind of weapon out at that time?
nope,
Okay. Now, after reviewing all these constitutional rights that you read out loud to the defendant, did you provide him an opportunity to read it himself?
yes,
Okay. And did he do that?
yes.
Okay. Now,
And that is,
go ahead.
and it is right there.
okay. And when he read through it, did he ever tell you that he couldn't understand what you were saying?
No,
Did he ever say that he had a problem reading?
nope. He actually stated that he had a GED, which was written down in the remarks section.
Okay. And so when he told you that he had a GED, what did you take that to mean?
That he was able to understand his constitutional rights and understand English.
Okay. Did he ever tell you he had a problem seeing anything on the page?
No,
Did he ever tell you he had a problem with his hearing?
no.
Okay. And on this page, is there a signature?
Yes, Michael Drew, signature right above the date and time.
Okay. And what time is his signature?
It's 09:56 hours.
Okay. Now, did you witness him sign this?
Yes.
At what point did he sign this form?
It would be right after his rights, and I asked about the GED, and I would usually turn that over to him for him to sign.
Okay. So is it fair to say this would have been before the interrogation took place?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during your experience as an officer, I know that you said you worked with narcotics. Have you had the opportunity to observe people that are under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. On this date, July 4th, 2020, at this time, around 9:56, did the defendant, Michael Drew, ever appear to be under the influence of alcohol?
Miss McCray, hold on 1 second. It says I am. I never stopped reading. But that's what I'm saying. I never ended the session with Zoom. I left it up.
Right, but you stop streaming.
Yeah, I did stop doing that. So what do I need to do?
Close it out. Close it out.
Okay, you guys, hold on a second, because I'm not streaming live, so hold on. I need to just